What makes someone do the unspeakable? How did we get here? These are the questions that I needed answered, that inspired me to create this channel in the first place. So join me as we take a peek behind the Iron Curtain and boldly go where no psychoanalyst has gone before. Welcome to Psychoanalyzing Chris Chan, Part 20. On August 11, 2020, in response to revelations that My Little Pony community member Grizzly, who was 20 years old, was engaging in inappropriate contact with a 14-year-old, Chris Chan expresses criticism towards the, quote, imperfect age of consent laws. Chris also suggests that those with mental ages younger than their biological age should be allowed to experiment with minors because they are cognitively on a similar level of functioning. These statements have dark implications considering Chris Chan's former friendship with the trans teenagers who are referred to as the Troon Squad, and the inappropriate amount of time that was spent with them without their parents' knowledge or supervision. Chris also has a history of ignoring personal space and lacking physical boundaries, and was reportedly very touchy with the teenagers. So to summarize, Chris appears willing to justify consenting relationships with those whom society would deem unfit to give consent, such as minors and the cognitively impaired. If you know enough about Chris Chan, you probably know that Chris is very suggestible. Chris can seemingly convince themselves of pretty much anything. I have psychic powers, I'm dating Vanessa Hudgens, etc. There is a mental state that Chris describes which also correlates with high levels of suggestibility, and it's related to reality shifting, and it's called lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is the experience of achieving conscious awareness of a dreaming state while still asleep. Lucid dreams are generally thought to arise from non-lucid dreams during REM sleep. An obstacle to experimentally studying lucid dreams is that spontaneous lucidity is really rare, but some subjects have had success in training themselves to become lucid via pre-sleep autosuggestion. Subjects often succeed in becoming lucid when they tell themselves before going to sleep to recognize specific, unusual stimuli, such as not being able to read or their fingers being distorted. We've discussed previously in this series how Chris Chan seemingly has this predisposition towards dissociative experiences, such as this perceived ability to astral project, as well as other extrasensory experiences, like the perception of imaginary animated companions that are called tulpas, as well as things like mind reading and other psychic abilities. Lucid dreaming is a disassociated state with aspects of waking and dreaming that's combined in a way that seems to suggest a specific alteration in brain physiology. Lucid dreaming, according to the research, could have some potential benefits, such as a decrease in anxiety, a sense of control, and an improvement in feelings of empowerment and self-efficacy, which can be therapeutic. Another interesting benefit is improved motor skills. Limited studies suggest that it could be possible to improve simple things like tapping your fingers more quickly by practicing, quote-unquote, during your lucid dream. The same part of your brain turns active when you imagine a movement, just like if you were actually doing it, like running a simulation. Research has also shown that lucid dream could help with problem solving and creativity. Some people taking part in lucid dream studies were able to come up with new ideas or insights, sometimes with the help of characters within their dreams. Lucid dreaming could also be problematic, however. Some problems include poor sleep quality, because more vivid dreams means usually less quality of sleep, which means you're going to wake up feeling tired, as well as confusion, delirium, and hallucinations. In people who are already predisposed towards psychotic symptoms or high suggestibility or dissociation, things like lucid dreaming could blur the line between what's real and what's imagined. Around this time, Chris would also take the Myers-Briggs personality assessment as both herself and as Magi-Chan, presumably channeling whichever identity was needed to take the test for each time. The results for both Magi-Chan and Chris were ENFJ, which is called the protagonist personality type. However, the fourth letter was different. A for Magi-Chan and T for Chris. What does this all mean? Let's break it down. The first four letters were ENFJ. This stands for extroverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. ENFJs are energized by time with others, they're focused on how they can help others grow, they're led by empathy and altruism, and they're natural team builders. They're typically expressive, social, and supportive. and they get excited about life, and they're eager to leave some kind of positive mark on the world. They see the best in people and they thrive as teachers and mentors. Now, obviously, you could debate all day whether this fits Chris or not. I think some of it does and some of it doesn't. While the Myers-Briggs personality test is, generally speaking, reliable and valid to a degree, there's obviously room for error, tester, and bias. Specifically, what's called the social desirability bias, which means Chris is gonna, as most humans might, frame their answers to this personality assessment in a way that they think other people would want to see them behave versus how they genuinely feel. Chris could also answer questions in a way that reflects an ideal value as opposed to their own behavior, which may not align with the personality type in certain ways, but are more aligned with Chris's idealistic views of herself and the world. And what about the last letter? That was the only thing that was different between Chris and Magichan. Magichan was an ENFJ-A and Chris was an ENFJ-T. The A with Magichan represents assertiveness, whereas T represents turbulent. An ENFJ-A is more outgoing and likely to speak about their feelings, while an ENFJ-T might be more withdrawn, passive, and hold on to emotions and internalize them. If we were to assume that these results were valid, meaning they're accurate, it would imply that Magichan is more assertive and outspoken, whereas Chris is more likely to internalize emotions and be passive. Considering, as I've discussed previously, that identity dissociation exists on a spectrum, it begins to make sense then that the body swapping with Magichan and Sonichu could be a form of dissociation which serves to protect the vulnerable self, such as Magichan having a more assertive personality according to the Myers-Briggs test, which echoes the mechanisms of dissociative identity disorder, in which different personalities or alters serve different functions in regulating the self. That or Chris is just playing make-believe. You decide. That's the beauty of psychoanalyzing Chris Chan. Meditation. On February 19th, 2020, Chris claims, while giving advice to supposed amateur psychics who are looking for guidance, that she meditates pretty much 24/7, 24 hours a day. Chris is in a meditative state. Chris in fact meditates so frequently that she's able to involuntarily maintain a meditative state nearly 24 hours a day. She adds that she does sometimes get psychic headaches like Psyduck, but the benefits are worth it. At the very least, when Chris is sleeping, then the meditative state would be inactive, unless you're lucid dreaming, which is a whole other can of worms, as Chris would say. Meditation is this conscious process of self-regulating thoughts and emotions and behaviors. In our accomplishment and achievement-driven society, the human brain is constantly receiving and processing countless pieces of information. As a result, the brain commands the stress response in the body to use defense mechanisms and demands high expenditure of energy resources that can severely tax the body in the long run. And research suggests that practically every chronic disease that's prominent in the Western world has its roots in stress. Heart disease, diabetes, obesity, all of these are linked to stress in different ways. As one of the earliest recorded systematic approaches to promote health and longevity, the unifying principle of meditation-centered disciplines that has emerged over the last thousands of years is to move from a state of duality, characterized by conflict or maladaptation to one's environment, to a state of singularity or harmony. Singularity corresponds to a psychological state of unity, timelessness, and totality in which threat doesn't exist, since there's nothing exterior or beyond our being-universe continuum. From a physiochemical standpoint, relaxation in the present moment is the state of maximum preservation of energy harnessed for optimal health and inspiration towards higher ideals. Yogis and Eastern physicians knew of the existence of the circulatory and endocrine systems and circadian rhythms as early as the 6th century BC, and describe a more refined level of signaling in organisms at the physical and atomic level than the chemical and molecular known to modern medicine today. So clearly, this tradition of meditation serves a purpose. It's been present in human societies for thousands of years, and it works. But was Chris really doing it right? Meditation has also kind of creeped its way into a lot of clinical settings, and it's undergone unprecedented scientific research in the last few years, which has added to its credibility in the world of science. The main driving force for this sudden interest is the undisputed need to develop less costly health programs for rising chronic diseases. And as we know, money makes the world go round. Insurance pays for treatment, and if insurance can find more cost-effective ways to treat people, they're going to do it. And things like yoga and meditation could be a part of that. Breathing exercises are often a part of the meditative process, and they're usually an object of focus, but it's a particularly interesting subject in the context of autism, given that most children with this condition have left nasal dominance, meaning they mostly breathe out of their left nostril, forcing the flow of air through the right or left nostril alternatively, which can result in selective activation of the sympathetic and parasympathetic branches of the nervous system, the fight or flight, and the rest and digest parts of the brain. The left nostril breathing while closing the right nostril seems to have a calming effect. Alternative nostril breathing could help abnormal breathing patterns and physiological rhythms that are abnormal. In general, breathing control exercises help with autonomic balance, hemispheric performance, and mood, and both meditation and breathing exercises have been suggested to induce the secretion of estrogenic hormones like oxytocin that facilitate bonding and affection. It's been postulated that a prenatal or neonatal exposure to excess testosterone could explain the fact that autism is much more frequent in boys than in girls. Boys have less oxytocin than girls. These observations suggest a beneficial role for meditation for mothers who are pregnant and during postpartum periods while they're breastfeeding. It's also possible that meditation in young children, particularly boys, could reduce the symptoms of autism by increasing the release of oxytocin in the brain. Theoretically, if Chris is genuinely meditating in the traditional sense of the word, all of these things could benefit her. But it's not clear, again, what methods Chris is using to facilitate this meditative mind state that they're describing. Around this time, Chris was seen dancing at a My Little Pony related convention, which gained attention within the community due to Chris's controversial history and inappropriate behavior at the previous convention. As a result, on March 9th, 2020, Christine Weston Chandler was added to the ban list for Sequestria Fest, another upcoming My Little Pony themed convention. This blasphemy toward the CPU goddess would not go unpunished, however. 4 days later, on March 13th, US President Donald Trump would declare a state of national emergency due to the rising threat of the COVID-19 virus. Is it a coincidence that Chris gets banned from a My Little Pony convention and then 4 days later, the COVID-19 pandemic causes a national emergency? I think not. Chris would take to Twitter to proclaim that the COVID virus was simply a divine form of eugenics, sent down from the heavens to wipe the earth of all defective life forms. Ironically though, Chris speaks about eugenics while failing to realize that under the tenets of eugenics, being autistic and queer, Chris herself would probably be deemed undesirable as a member of society and would likely either be euthanized or castrated in order to prevent the further spreading of their genetics. Around this time, Chris would also apparently undergo a Freaky Friday type body switch with Sonichu, which allowed Sonichu to skin walk inside of Chris's body for like 6 months. This appears to be some sort of delusional or dissociative state. On the 22nd of February, Chris would lament about extreme sexual frustration. Quote, "My body is annoying me so much about its sexual starvation, and it's annoying the woeing crap out of me towards hating sex again." Other users would suggest that Chris simply just masturbate about it, maybe alleviate some of this sexual tension, but Chris would insist that this would not suffice. Around this time, Chris would forebodingly purchase the book, The Ultimate Guide to Sex and Disability, which encourages a sex-positive approach to disability and aging. I've examined this book as research for this video, and it provides practical tips. And advice for individuals who have health issues that might affect their sexual satisfaction, including things like positions and techniques and devices that could help women who are having issues producing the natural lubrication that's necessary for sexual activity. This is a common issue among women who have reached postmenopausal age, which is usually around 45 to 55. As far as the public knew, Chris had seemingly taken on a new lover, but Chris wouldn't reveal any additional information, seemingly out of fear of her new lover being harassed like her past paramours. Chris does, however, disclose in private messages with the user WCT that she has a new sexual partner who was in her 70s. When these messages were leaked, onlookers would begin theorizing that this older woman was in fact Barbara, based on the history of statements and behaviors from Chris that suggested some weird sort of intimacy or attraction between the two. Trolls had long joked that Chris would eventually resort to Barbara as a boyfriend-free girl, based on the occasional off-putting comments and the constant proximity to one another, but few thought Chris would ever truly go through with it. In retrospect though, the foreshadowing and the breadcrumbs that led up to this event feel incredibly heavy-handed.
I pretty much just been leaving a breadcrumb trail of gayness.
If this were a movie or a book, the audience would complain that the foreshadowing was too obvious and lacked subtlety. In general, the relationship between Chris and Barbara has always been seen as kinda weirdly close, likely due to Barbara's overly coddling nature towards Chris in early life and through adulthood, mixed with the emotionally abusive control tactics that Barbara would implement with both Chris and Bob when Bob was still alive. It was keenly noted during the Doopy saga that Chris had used the words darling and dear as well as Barbie to refer to Barbara, and onlookers would note that this was kind of weird, but it's not a nail in the coffin. Many Christorians have also noted that potential hints or patterns that would indicate sexual activity between Chris and Barbara have been made previously, such as in a 2010 voice chat between various PVCC forum members. Kim Wilson talked about a discussion where Chris revealed that she was spooning with Barbara on a regular basis. She also revealed that Chris told her that she'd once had a wet dream about Barbara as an Egyptian belly dancer. According to both Bella and Maker Knightvie, Chris brought up the dreams of sex with Barbara again to them in private conversations. On July 19, 2021, in a conversation with the Chess Club server, Bella mentions that Chris, during this phase of role-playing as Sonichu, brought up that she had had a dream of having sex with Barbara, to which Bella replied that it's weird and questioned what it could mean. Chris becomes offended and asks if Bella was calling her weird. On the 30th of July, Maker Knightvie commented about the leak of the incest news and mentioned that Chris had told her about sexual dreams with Barbara, but at the time, Maker Knightvie had just dismissed them as weird dreams. On the 5th of July 2021, Chris revealed that she was having sex with an older woman who had a background in accounting. Chris also implied that they'd known each other for a long time. Noel, having no idea who Chris was talking about at the time, praised Chris for managing to keep something secret for once and encouraged Chris to keep the relationship secret to protect their identity. On the 25th of July, Chris watched a Watch Mojo video titled Top 10 Hottest Anime Moms Ever. Chris released a piece of artwork on his Twitter feed on the 28th of July showing soul bonding between an elderly Libra, which Barbara is, and a younger woman that somewhat resembles Chris's fictionalized counterpart. Chris stated in a conversation with the Watchmen that she had feelings of loneliness and really wanted to get some action with a real physical woman. And unfortunately, Chris would get her way. But Chris isn't one to resist the urge to kiss and tell. Chris couldn't keep this secret for long, we all know that. On the 27th of July 2021, during a call with Isabella, Bella Loretta Janke, Chris reveals the details of the sexual activities with Barbara, also discussing it in text messages later that day, bragging about how Bob and previous lovers were no match for Chris in terms of sexual prowess. Evidence of the incest was compiled and leaked to the public the following night, and social workers removed Chris from Barbara on the morning of July 30th with a temporary protective order, which Chris violated by stealing money out of Barbara's bank account. In early August 2021, Chris was arrested, officially charged with 1 count of incest with a child or grandchild because there wasn't a more suitable charge, and was held without bail.
Sorry. Yeah, they're arresting Chris Chan here at the hotel. Chris Chan, what's up? Kill stream, baby! When you get out, let's do the kill stream! Look me up!
Once the charges drop, tell them about Joshua Connor Moon!
Tell them all about Josh Moon, that's who they want!
Give it up, Chris Chan!
Give them up, save yourself, girl!
Package Chan will help you.
You're beautiful!
Look up Ethan Ralph,
Go
kill
on the
stream!
stage.
I live here in Richmond, buddy.
Go to church!
No, come to the kill stream first.
Chris Chan, or Sonichu,
Hey, officers.
Years.
How's it going?
Good, I just saw you.
Yeah, that's right. That's you. Oh my God.
Sorry about that, guys.
I told you.
Is the car
You
unlocked?
are.
Is the car unlocked?
You are. You
I think so.
absolutely are.
Yeah, you appear to be compliant.
Your goddess blue heart, and I continue to stand strong, and I maintain everything with goodwill in my side shoes and nose shoes and everybody.
Yeah, you're live to about 3,000 people right now, Chris Chan.
How do you bleed?
Well, don't. You're taking everything in stride. You said you're doing good?
Yeah, I keep it good faith. Everything is going to work out.
Doing good, feeling good?
Well,
How's the last few days been? I know it's been pretty stressful.
it's stressful, but
Do you
Well, that's
feel
good.
Josh Moon did you dirty?
Oh, well, just the one thing, that's a kid. Feel free, just go ahead and take it. I just a picture of muffins from My Little Pony.
Love quest is over, Chris.
I promise I was not dangerous, but it fell off my bag. I did not want to lose it. And please, I would like that in my collection.
What's up, Jesse?
How you doing?
Boy, we almost missed it, huh?
I was monitoring the ball.
My name is Chris Reed. So I'll bring you the options there.
Literally ran out to get that. This is nuts.
Christine, this man does want to help you.
Yeah, we were trying to get you on the show, but look, when you get out, look me up, Killstream. I don't know if you know who I am or not.
We're here to help you.
We saw what Josh was doing to you, so we wanted to come try to talk to you.
I have nothing else on me. I understand.
Melissa,
I have no pain, I have no blood, so I can sleep. Like I said, crispy, there you go. That felt good.
Christine, is the merge coming?
All right,
It's happening now. We're on the very
the
last
merge,
spread.
it's happening right now, isn't it?
Right now, it is.
We're living it.
It's happening right now.
Farewell, Chris Chan.
The dimensional merge is happening right now. August 1st.
Well, there goes Chris Chan into the Henrico County.
In classic psychoanalytic theory, the psychosexual development of children between the ages of 3 and 5 is characterized by incestuous desires toward the parent of the opposite sex. Freud called this the Oedipus complex in men, referring to the Greek tragedy. Even before July of 2020, there appeared to be some elements of emotional incest occurring in the Chandler home, especially after Bob's passing, when Chris took on a large burden of the financial and emotional responsibility for caring for Barb. It shouldn't be understated that this is a considerable emotional, financial, and psychological burden, even for a high-functioning, well-adjusted adult. For someone like Chris, whose tolerance for distress and change are relatively low, this would have been a massive weight to carry. Emotional incest refers to inappropriate relationship roles and responsibilities and exchanges of intimacy that are not sexual between family members. This could be viewed as an extreme form of codependency. This enmeshment between Chris and Barbara, it doesn't appear to be an accident, but rather an intentional design of Barbara's, which was cultivated decades earlier during Chris's childhood. Being a narcissist, as described by her elder son Cole, Barbara would have perhaps consciously or subconsciously viewed young Christian not as an autonomous human, but as an extension of herself and a reflection of her own identity, more than having or deserving an identity of his own. Perhaps this is why all of Barbara's older children are completely alienated from her. Having a narcissistic parent can create significant issues for a child and make relationships challenging, not just with the parent themselves, but for all relationships going forward in life, as that parental relationship genuinely sets a template for the rest of the relationships going forward. So Barbara likely cultivated this emotional codependency early on, and with Bob's passing, there's now this mutual dependence between Chris and Barb, physically and emotionally. While it's clear that Barbara's cognitive functioning has started to decline, she was still able to produce speech at this time. There's video showing her talking. I want to make it clear that it's not okay to victim blame. That is, to place responsibility on a victim for being victimized. If Barbara was really manipulated or coerced into engaging in these acts with Chris, then Barbara is the victim, especially considering her age and cognitive decline. However, there is another side to this argument. Chris wasn't charged with or sexual assault. The charge was incest. This suggests that any sexual encounters between the two were consensual, which, whether or not a dementia patient can give consent in the first place, is a different argument. Like a child, an elderly person who's suffering from dementia might lack the critical thinking skills to be able to give informed consent, meaning that they would fully understand the context, implications, and gravity of what they are consenting to. But putting that aside and just playing devil's advocate, if we were to assume that Barbara was a willing participant, why? Why would a mother do this to their own child? We can mostly understand Chris's motivations, right? Horny and lonely. But why did Barbara do it? Theoretically, she could have said no, right? Well, Barbara has been shown to be very emotionally manipulative. She's threatened to harm herself before to encourage the family to give in to her demands, and she seems to avoid taking any responsibility for her own wrongdoings, such as refusing to admit to doing anything wrong in her relationships with her children, like with Cole. As a narcissist, and presumably a vulnerable narcissist, meaning someone who has narcissistic traits but is also deeply insecure, Barbara would likely have an underlying fear of abandonment or rejection, and considering that her other adult children all abandoned her, she likely would have feared this outcome with Chris as well. Perhaps, in a profoundly disgusting manner, by giving Chris what Chris wanted, Barbara felt that she could have had more power and leverage over the relationship in order to avoid that abandonment. If Barbara were willing to weaponize sex in her past relationships with men, then it's possible that she could have also recognized the potential to capitalize on Chris's loneliness and sexual starvation by replicating this dynamic. Enter Bella Janke.
We proceed towards it more slowly.
Sorry, I'm putting the volume for I have a really bad ear because I got sick, like you can hear from my voice. It's hard to hear anything at all. But I could hear you now. Go ahead.
Alright, so anyway, with the events and everything, and I was feeling like I really need a sensual release. And not too many individuals this side of the arc were coming up to the plate right there. So, and then everything was coming into good alignment, and
right.
it was good. The signs were all there. Even Emmanuel, God just said it was okay, and it got me towards it. Right?
God said this is okay? Yeah, then you don't really have anything to worry about if God himself said this is fine.
Yeah. And so I gave it lots of time for myself. I was like, okay, so I'll take a time for it. So.
But how did this happen? How did this come about?
Well, one which just mainly I was really, really horny, and I need the true and honest relationship to come about. So obviously, this was one of the best ways to do it, despite it being with the. And I don't want to believe in labels at all, but obviously, the incest fanfics have come true and shit.
I didn't even know there was such a thing. I didn't even know there was incest fanfics. Were there about you and Barbara? I can't believe that. I didn't even think that. I knew that you guys had a good relationship, but I always thought, because I'm not huge on Christery and, whatever, I just thought that the whole Sonetry franchise was very interesting, and that's how I got into you when I was younger, right? But I didn't have any idea that Barbara was, that Barbara and you had that sort of relationship. I never got any of those vibes. But how did you approach her?
Approached her with care and caution. And it was a time approach. So I just gave her comfort and talked with her, and we just branched out slow and steady. And then I encouraged her positively, let her make the first move. And she wanted to do it. And
she did? Really? She made the first move?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow, Barbara. How did she do it, if you don't mind me asking? What was the first move?
I don't remember exactly. Well, that was her first move, but my approach was... I forgot exactly what terminology and approach I used, but I approached with care and caution.
That's good.
And I was direct and upfront with her for the most part.
That's good. And how did she respond when you approached her? What'd she say?
I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was I think she was partially confused at one point, but then she came around, obviously, with more approaching than I was doing with her along the way.
Right. So she got into it. How was the first kiss? You kissed her? How did that feel? Having known this woman for your whole life, how did that feel?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was simple lip to lip kiss content, but yeah, it was actually good and it felt right.
When did you start having feelings for Barbara?
Well, obviously for a long time. I mean, I remember even mentioning some time ago in one of my videos that I even had dreams where I had sex with her, obviously.
Really?
So,
Yeah. Is that I heard of, I don't know what it is per se, but is that what Oedipus complex is called? Is when you like your mother?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? I don't know what it means though. I just thought it might be.
Yeah, but yeah, that's right. The Oedipus complex.
Oh, Oedipus, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. How, if you don't mind me asking, I know it's probably personal, you have to answer, but how is the sex?
I'd say it was satisfactory. It took a while. It took a few tries to...
It took a few tries, yeah. She is older.
And plus, also, she's very understanding about the whole thing as well. I was direct with her, still direct and honest with her. And I made sure that obviously, I'm never going to propose marriage to her at all because we're already daughter and mom.
Yeah, mother and daughter. You know, they say there's no stronger bond than a mother and her daughter. That's true. I'm pretty close to my mom. I don't think I'd be that close, but I do in some ways project, you know, the kind of woman I'm interested in with the kind of woman my mother is, and I didn't realize it until I got older. It was, wow, she kind of, you know, has similar qualities to my mother. And I think, oh, you know, shoot. I'm glad that you're telling me, because a lot of people would hold this inside and it would tear them apart, you know. But then again, your body is, your body now, isn't it only like a projection of your true form? Aren't you you're from like another dimension, right? You're a Sonichu.
Yeah. Well, not really a projection because this body is interdimensional.
Yeah, it's interdimensional. But are you related to Barbara in like the different dimensions?
I'm not sure how to answer that question off the bat right now because
Right, you're just still figuring it out. How long have you two been going at it?
Well, we've been doing it every third.
Sorry?
We've been doing it every third night, and the first night being on June 27th.
Oh, you have a routine. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, at least you have a stable relationship, because you know it's not going to end. Like, if anything happened, you'd still be mother and daughter. It's not going to like be explosive breakup, right? That's comforting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said since June, right?
It took us a few nights to figure out what made what felt right and what didn't feel right. And
does your mother enjoy it?
She's having a good time. Literally.
She is. She's having a good time.
Especially what we figured out.
That's great to hear. Do you guys act more like brother and daughter, or do you guys act more like, you know, lovers? When, like, say you come home from, you know, the supermarket and you see Barbara, would you say, "Hey, sweetheart," or do you say, "Hi, mom"?
Yeah, I haven't called her in quite some time now.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I'm more often calling her love at this point.
Oh, yeah, that's sweet. That's sweet. I call my girlfriend Love, too. Well, I used to, the old one. I don't, you're in a relationship and I'm not, so you're more experienced than I am, definitely. But you recently started dating Fiona, isn't that's true, right? In an open relationship?
Yeah, it's between Barbara and I, it is an open relationship, and I made that very clear with her.
Right. Is Barbara dating anybody else?
Not.
No? But she's fine with you dating other people, right?
Yeah, she's okay.
Do you guys go on any dates or anything romantic like that?
Well, not anything extravagant, but we do, as often as possible, eat at the dinner table together.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to do much lately because I've had to switch to a soup diet because after getting the crown on my tooth.
Oh, did you? I always thought the dentist was a sham because because they say I'm genetically prone to get cavities, even though I brush my teeth all the time. And no matter how I brush my teeth and floss and I get a cavity, the thing is, if you ignore it, by ignore, you like take care of it yourself, it goes away from me. But I don't think I've ever gotten a crown, and yeah, I've got a gold over here. A gold, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, so I had to get a root canal before the
Right.
So
Ow, that hurts. Yeah.
Yeah, I could appreciate that as well, but she's not exactly the shopping type of
Right.
gal these days.
Right.
And plus, she's still trying to remember her inner child.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
As well. But I'm encouraging her towards the positives, and
Right.
be like a homemade with her.
Yeah. Knowing you, Christine, I think that because I understand that she's mature, and she's mature and she's wise. She's wise in her ways. She has experience and she loves you, and you two have a great relationship. But wouldn't you want somebody who's younger, right, and to keep up more with your energy? Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, but obviously, if I can find some.
There's Fiona. Fiona's very interested in you. Fiona's very interested in you. She's a super girl. Yeah.
I know, but I have looked into the future, and I know she's going to find her better long-term sweetheart.
Fiona?
On campus.
Are you sure? Yeah. Because Fiona talks to me saying how great you are and how much she loves you, right? Maybe because the future can change, right? With fate.
It's a possibility, but it's
why don't you try for her? Because I'm sure because Fiona consents to having an open relationship, right? I'm sure you're fine with both of them now, but over time, right? Fiona really, really, really adores you, and she's a wonderful girl. I text her a lot. We chat. She has never said a single negative thing about you. She adores you, but she'll be more open to doing stuff like, having spa days, getting pizza, going out together, and she's newer. She's probably newer in the bedroom, but she's willing to do it. She's willing to have fun with you.
Yes, I agree, and I appreciate all that. And yeah, I'm making the short time count as best as I can with her.
I understand.
We're seeing it now and about the future. Plus, I don't want to take her away from the colleges she chose to go to, which I'm sure is still in Washington State, right there.
How far away do you live from Washington State? Because I almost was going to go to Washington State.
Washington State is Washington. It's on the West Coast, and Virginia's on the East Coast.
Right. And plus, she's young. She has a lot of time to. Travel, visit you, whatever. And I mean, you've done long distance before, haven't you?
Yeah, long distance relationships, but
yeah, they suck. I know they suck, but what's important is that you make a relationship with her now, and that way it'll stay forever, and she'll come back to you. She'll come back to you. I'm sure she would.
Yes, it is a possibility, but I'm thinking more on the higher likelihood outcomes for this timeline, obviously.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get adjusted. Okay, that makes sense. Goober. Buddy.
Yeah.
Goober. Okay, there you go. He was just trying to get my lip.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, I still would want somebody who was younger or close to my age, obviously. I don't know, maybe...
You don't want anyone who's younger?
Not too many others at this time. But I mean, obviously, with my affirmations, I'm attracting my twin flame.
Right. dude. Yeah, true. But at the convention, make sure to have a lot of fun with. Make sure to have push it with Fiona. Have a lot of fun with her, right? Because, because now you're doing this for your mom. Yeah, make sure, I'll be there watching you guys, making sure that nobody is trying to, sorry, my throat. Nobody's trying to hurt you, do anything. I'll take photos of you two. I'll have just a screenshot, like a slideshow of romantic stuff between you guys. The dance will be awesome. We could take turns. I'd like to dance with her too, and then you guys could take the slow dance or whatever. And
we'll see what we can arrange, because she only has the hotel room for the Friday night.
Right.
We want to get home as quickly as possible. She's already made that agreement with her parents, and I don't want to.
Yeah, her mom is pretty strict about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, if she ends, obviously she is likely to head back home before the Grand Galloping Gala.
Oh, is she? Oh no! I wanted to dance with her because I thought it'd be so cute. Because since I'm there to protect you guys, right? I obviously I'm gonna be enjoying the festivities with you two, but I wanted to take make a whole like slideshow and like memory thingy of you guys together.
Yeah, and all the other signees.
Yeah.
For the convention
right.
as well.
But how are you feeling, Christine? How are you feeling? Because I know there's a lot of societal pressure on you about like this thing with Barbara. There's a lot of societal pressure and a lot of people, you know, consciously who would judge, and you know, there's a lot of eyes on you. It must be very stressful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm so sorry about all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, we'll still have Matt, Chan, and Griselle to dance with.
You always have them. Like again, my main job is photographer and bodyguard, but I could dance for a little, take photos of other ladies that might want to dance with you. You know, have fun, experiment. Yeah. You know, don't just limit yourself. And I appreciate that you like the idea of open relationships, right? But if Fiona really wants to like commit and settle down with you, would you take that seriously and stop having open relationships?
Well, I would consider really would wish I could consider obviously. I don't want to take her away from her college. She still has a lot to learn for herself and experience.
What if I get that, but what if what if in like 10 years after she's done with college and you still have a good relationship and she's grown to be a beautiful woman and you know everything, she says, Christine, I really, really, really want to settle down with you. I love you from the bottom of my heart. What would you do?
Well, after she's done with college and she's got herself organized, on the highly, highly unlikely event for this timeline that she doesn't meet her long-term sweetheart,
right,
who will be there for her, then I would definitely be up for considering.
Why do you think that she has somebody else that's better for her?
Well, I mean, I can't reveal too many details. I just can only say that she's got.
Oh, is this some psychic thingy? Did you look into the future?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I understand. Oh, I see. Well, that makes sense then that you're not so confident, but yeah, it just really depends on the person. How long are you staying at the event for again? Sorry.
I'll stay in Washington. Like the plane ticket said, I'll be leaving Washington on the following Monday, the 16th.
Okay, so yeah, okay. I'm just coordinating with the flight thing because I get mine for, like I said, like a really big discount or free depending where they put me, right? So they're still kind of iffy, but I at least have the tickets, but they could change them. So but yours from Seattle to Washington, right? I don't know if we'll be on the same flight, but I could try if I have 2 stops. From from Michigan to Seattle to Washington.
Yeah.
Or from like Massachusetts. Yep.
Yeah. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we will. It'll be fine. We could do it another time because I have a cough and it's hard to talk and my throat kind of hurts. All right, I understand. And I know the kind of person you are, and you're a good, caring person. And I know that you're doing it because you love your mother. Look at my cat. Can you see him?
Kind of hard to see him. I see him a little bit.
Do you see how chubby he is? Do you see how this fat coming out from his neck? He's got so.
So yeah, she's got really sensitive G-spot because apparently I don't believe even Mr. C, any of her past boyfriends and ex-husbands, they haven't really reached and hit her really.
Right.
They're 6.
Right. Oh, okay. So yours is a bit bigger.
They were more focused on themselves, really, as opposed to focusing on her, which that's my focus.
Because I know you want to be with somebody, like, yeah, more experienced and younger. I know we already said this, but I'm just, you know.
Yeah. And that's also one thing I definitely appreciate in the upcoming time with Fiona, because apparently she's had 5 cases of having sex, or close to it at least.
Yeah, I believe so. She'd said that she had it before, and she seems to be very open and like not scared or nervous. She's experienced, and that's what you like, right?
But then also, she's also had that experience with the pedophile Japanese teacher, apparently.
Oh dear. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know why, but you know, like all the lolly thing and stuff. Like, again, it's just if it's just a drawing, it's not that much of a problem. But when it's like, but people don't realize that it does kind of cause it does cause people to get, you know, it stops becoming a joke. People become more and more like attracted to them. There are some crazies in the world that, you know, might use it and become it would become more likely to do it in person. It's like, you know how they say that a lot of the serial killers, the reason they became that way was because of pornography. You know how easy it is to find stuff like child porn online? It's disgusting, but it's everywhere.
Yes.
Oh my god, holy crap, that's nasty. I can't believe.
I've been in jail before. So
Oh, you have? I had no clue, really? Really?
Well, essentially, I've been in jail twice.
Oh, really? Yeah.
First time was when Snyder set off his trap on me that time, waiting me to come back to the Game and Highway. Yeah. So I ended up spending one night in jail then.
Oh, one night? Was there anybody there?
Yeah.
In jail with you?
Yeah. Nobody was in the jail cell with me at all.
Daughter of a former Navy SEAL turned data security entrepreneur and CIA criminal psychologist stepmother and a mother who's an airline pilot, Isabella, for her unsavory actions both surrounding Chris and independent from the Quickville universe. Bella's sordid internet activities included being the leader of a chain of Discord servers, the TTU Chess Club, from which she and her friends made many sociopathic, edgy, and off-color remarks, including encouraging people to verbally harass other Texas Tech students. In the fall of 2020, Bella was hired by Prater to create an animation for Chris, at which point the two of them met and stayed in contact. While Bella was friendly toward Chris, behind her back, Bella was A-logging and documenting everything that Chris was saying. Bella also made jokes about the end goal being getting Chris to kill himself. Bella's comments have led to much speculation and rumors, but there's been no proof about whether Bella was serious. Other YouTubers have done a great job showcasing the person that Bella is, but here I just want to touch on a few of my observations based on what I know about Miss Janky. Antisocial behaviors. In private Discord chats that were leaked onto Kiwi Farms, Janky mentions being sexually aroused by cat feces, abusing her dog, and even boiling a hamster alive, clearly indicating some emotional disturbances within the young girl's mind. Whether these were true statements or just edgy jokes. As many of you probably know, torturing animals is a sign of psychopathic traits in children and young adults, and it's often indicative of poor behavioral outcomes later in life. Bella is also known for making intentionally edgy statements for shock value, so the extent to which she's being genuine is unclear. Janky also clearly has an attraction toward other antisocial behaviors as well though, such as bullying and harassment. She created the Texas Tech Chess Club, which was essentially a microcosm of Kiwi Farms, or at least her best effort at recreating the environment of Kiwi Farms within Texas Tech University's student population. In the fallout of these phone calls with Chris being leaked, Bella is doxxed by Kiwi Farms, which is what resulted in all these leaked chats. In the wake of the doxing, it appears that Janky has used her family's connections to wipe her existence from the internet. Different fake postings for things like dentists, real estate agents, and even obituaries are found these days if one Googles the name Isabella Loretta Janky. Seemingly, red herrings trying to distract from the real story of Isabella Loretta Janky, and maybe an attempt for damage control. Though at this point, Bella would probably be better off just changing her name legally. In any case, Bella's disappearance and these fake ads following the phone call leak suggests that somebody is going to considerable lengths to mitigate the impact that the doxing has had on Bella's life. Wherever she is now, we can only hope that she learned and changed. In any case, her recorded phone call confession is what helped Chris be separated from Barbara and ended the incestuous relationship. And that's something. The story doesn't end for Chris after the arrest though. Chris's delusions of grandeur reach an all-time high, seemingly now believing herself to be CPU goddess Jesus Christ herself. Chris had previously demonstrated existing delusions that mirrored a messiah complex, such as Chris believing she could heal the sick. However, the true messiah complex wouldn't appear until the jail saga, after Chris is arrested. On September 19, 2021, Chris wrote an open letter from jail to an unknown individual while awaiting court hearings on a charge of incest. He asked the recipient to relay the contents to Noel and deliver the physical documents to Chris's attorney, David Heilberg. Noel uploaded the scanned letter to Kiwi Farms on September 24th, and I'm going to pay homage to Gino Samuel by reading the capitalized words as yelling. Enjoy. September 19, 2021. The resemblance is uncanny. I have finally received fresh paper and envelopes, and I feel it advised to inform you all of the following. All of which, as you may or will, you have my consent to relay all of the contents of this letter to Joshua Noel Moon, as well as forward the physical documents to David Heilberg, my attorney. The following everyone should hear and appreciate sincerely, authentic, and spiritually, and aura deep. I also swear direct truth with my left hand over my heart as I write this sentence. First and vitally, it should be made obvious and clear that aside from Andy Warhol, my life events at present and so far can be directly compared and matched with that which have been chronicled by none other than Jesus Christ of Nazareth himself in any Holy Bible. Also, feel free to take any unaltered photograph of my body's face, neck, and shoulder/chest where I was not wearing the glasses to show a naturally growing brown beard, mustache, and sideburns. Now place that photo next to any image of Jesus on or off the cross. Compare, look deep into my eyes, and photograph. See for yourself. I meditate, connect directly and genuinely with the cosmos, both of our universe halves, and throughout the timelines and entire multiverse. So despite some lack of, quote, physical evidence, I know the ultimate truths, facts, and details not commonly known or written, drawn, or chronicled. That being stated, all of my life, my mind, eyes, and literally held the constant perception of being the central camera, number 000, out of all the other cameras, infinite, from the first-person perspective of all others. And this goes even deeper, and I encourage you to meditate deeply and see for yourself this and all of the truths. And the reason and truth behind my unique perception is direct and mind-blowingly simple. I am literally the real player one, the one avatar, and this body, eyes, mind, and all is the one God, and I am literally also Jesus Christ himself, fully reincarnated, fully reawakened, even the dimensional merge, literally completed and concluding the same for the collective shift. All of this is literally huge chunks of the past, present, and in progress events of my second coming, period. Not all details of the past chronicled scripture writings are accurate, and as a member of the Council of Gods and Goddesses with the strongest and direct of connections, I know details have changed some to a lot in regard for the scriptures of the past. 3 days on earth equal 4 months in the heaven realm. So yes, this is the one immortal body, and that was none other than I, off and on of that cross over 2,000 years ago in my past life. Each and every prayer and praise to Jesus, as of February 1982 at least, have all been directed to this body and soul. Malachi 3. Judgment Day is nearing. Know this well. Praise. Moving on, with all of that stated, your last letter. Next, why I had transferred that money on Saturday, July 31st. Josh had absolutely no right in relaying that detail publicly. Friday the 30th, forced out of my home in Temple, had nowhere else to go, had less than $50 between pocket money and only a couple of bucks or so in my bank account. No money in my PayPal Patreon was not due for a payout until Sunday, and SSI was not coming into my bank until Tuesday. Harriet and Tom Ashby casted me out before I even arrived to Midlothian. The van was not majorly uncomfortable, Josh had wired $1,000 to my bank that Friday, but it would not arrive until after or on Monday. Little food or options. And you try bumming in any parking lot without feeling insecure and paranoid. I needed safety and comfort as quickly as possible. That is why I transferred that money. I was going to pay it back in full, even had $150 on Patreon for on Sunday the 1st that went straight to Barbie Chan's bank account. I would have paid the remaining $600 Monday or Tuesday, but Noel had to fail his destined test and betray me, like I was betrayed and jailed with a kiss over 2,000 years ago. Now, as a result of the past arrest, I have absolutely no way to fulfill that repentance or anything else digital. Malachi 3:6-15. I repeat all that personally. Now, all of you had to overdrama and fail your worldwide test of faith upon me. Sigh. And finally, the all-important popular present FAQ. Why and what the hell? Emmanuel, God above all other gods and goddesses, and one of my mentors, herself, had deemed me to heal, cleanse, and clear Barbara of her past sins and regrets, and improve her abilities directly and personally as her goddess. We mainly cuddled, soul bonded, and talked. Consentful and emotionally and mentally supportive and healing, I did as I had done for and with a chosen few back in Israel over 2,000 years ago, in cleansing them. More details for the Bibles that had been overlooked and left out. We gods had eased up on the views of adultery. Why else do you have all pro-gay and pro-lesbian, pro-trans and all today, in the past decades? Everyone involved were all being genuinely, deeply happy and content and spiritually satisfied with themselves and each other. And as long as we are all over the age of consent and the activity was consensual by all parties involved and genuinely spiritually happy, it is good. I have written further insights and details and already shared them with David Heilberg, and I get out on Second Coming or sooner by uninterrupted co-divine intervention. All of your demons and curses are no more and unrevivable. Judgment Day. Praise us gods. Chris Chan Sonichu, the goddess Blue Heart, and your Lord. On October 6th, Chris would respond to a letter from longtime supporter and enabler Kenneth Engelhart. Hey Kenneth, this is the body of your and my soul partner, Jesus Christine Weston Chandler Sonichu, speaking to you on her blessed behalf. I know everything, though Christine knows more from her experiences since our extended separation since September 16, 2021. She shall return for me for the apex of our second coming. For those remaining who do not yet know, between Christine and I, combined and divided, we are the real player one, the one avatar, I, body, am the one God body, and she and I are literally the full reincarnation of none other than Jesus Christ of Nazareth himself. The conclusion of the dimensions merges completion includes the completion of the collective shift for the majority that are good, and those recoverable from Earth 1218 to Earth 1C211987, and the second coming of Christine and I together again as your fully reawakened Lord Messiah, Savior, God and judge over the minority who are the toxic, darkest sinners, haters, fakers, and darkest demonics who shall be left behind on 1218 earth to burn. We are now on Malachi 3 and 4 of the Old Testament in any Bible. The future of all Sonichus and Rosechus, under still continued immortal care and guardian watch from I and our husband Magichan Sonichu Prime of Universe 1C211987 and C197 before the recombination, shall remain the same for the future of all Pokemon, Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario, Ratchet & Clank, Neptune, Blanc, Noir, Vert, Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, Homer Simpson, Peter Griffin, Eric Cartman, Sakino Usagi, Goku, Inuyasha and Kagome, Papa Smurf, Haruhi Suzumiya, Gumball Watterson, SNT, Lightning Bliss, Dr. Wolf, Princess Star Butterfly, and Marco Diaz, Optimus Prime, Autobots, Sun Chu and Chris Chan, Tony Stark / Iron Man, Bruce Wayne / Batman, Diana / Wonder Woman, President Lisa Simpson, Sunset Shimmer, Princess Twilight Sparkle, Raven, Jenny Wakeman / XJ9, Danny Phantom, Fox McCloud, The Jedi, Captain Kirk, and so on, into all present-day existence, original and fictional characters, including the majority of all of your OCs of 1218 Earth, here and myself and Christine. We all continue on in greatest partially immortal stead. mutual chronicling, and alive, safe, and well forevermore. So yeah, Englehart, I've just answered 2 of your questions, and to make it more clear, I am the God body. Christine is literally God herself. We both are Jesus Christ reincarnated, so spiritual and religious philosophies had even farther expanded. A day in this jail, as constantly written in the daily goddess log. Christine and I, we meditate deep, connected with this earth, the cosmos and universes and dimensions of this timeline, as well as the entire multiverse, energy conservation, and continued workings well above anyone else's head on this 1218 Earth. Write daily logs with insight and wisdoms and then some. I have a temporary soul partner, a holy flame type. You may remember her on her repentance tour, keeping me safe, well, not abused, and good, alongside many good angels, spirits, and OP allies in and around this jail of fail. We presently have a genuine Turkish prayer rug and a deck of playing cards from the commissary, along with very much appreciated sports bras, socks with no holes, earplugs, and a few other goodies. Food's mostly well. Not perfect meatballs, banquet dinners have better meatballs, and chicken is often dry. And at present, we are asking all peoples to send money to the Sonichu Temple at 14 Branchland Court in Ruckersville, Virginia to pay off the mortgage and remaining debts. Food for Barbara is also appreciated, and visitors who personally offer genuine kindness and good intentions are all encouraged to visit the temple. Prayers to and for Christine and I are appreciated and shall be answered. All prayers to Jesus have all been going to Christine for nearly 40 years now, and absolutely nothing is going to be taken from the temple, or its property yard, or defaced. All who do this shall be struck down by my allies, the gods and heaven's armies. Blessings of great measures personally, for all who come, visit, and bring good positive tithes and offerings. Also, donations in my inmate account can be made through the Central Virginia Regional Jail's website, and only U.S. postal money orders, cashier's checks, or certified checks made out and addressed to Christine is acceptable through postal mail. While that is greatly appreciated as well, the needs of the Sonichu Temple and Barbara's safety, and hers and mine, keep of the temple remains of highest priority. And lastly, but importantly, contact the local Virginia governors of Ruckersville and Charlottesville, Virginia, as well as President Biden, and get me, as well as Christine herself, obviously, a full pardon to get me out of this jail and mess, please. What happened was literally a divine mission commissioned to Christine and I by Emmanuel, God above gods, herself, to heal and cleanse Barbara's health and soul and being, and clear her of remaining sins and regrets through cuddling, talking, and supportive soul bonding, to mainly extend her life personally by divine intervention. As Christine had told the few others via mails and posted onto Kiwi Farms, all of you were being and are now being divinely tested with the divinely purposed leak of this information. Too many of you have epically failed by responding and giving in to this drama instead of ignoring this with greater considerations of the context and knowing better of Christine, the past situations, and leaving it as a lost rumor. Instead, a la 2,000 years ago in Israel on History Repeat, alongside Judas and Noel, Christine was massively betrayed. Meditate on that, or consult/ask a genuine, highly enlightened psychic to see for yourselves. Consider this your interview, Kenneth. Go ahead, please, and share all of this in confirmation with what handwritten or original pages were already posted as well. Thanks. Sincerely, body of Mrs. Jesus Christine Weston Chandler Sonichu, the Goddess Blue Heart and Lord, Messiah, and Savior of all. P.S. Have you ever sat on a prayer rug and, with a deck of playing cards, play solitaire? It is genuinely a humbling experience. I highly recommend it. I shall suddenly come to my temple. Jesus Christine Weston Chandler Sonichu, October 5th, 2021. On November 8th, Chris would write another letter. This one would be the most insightful and provided a much more clear image on Chris's mental state and what was going on in jail. Chris wrote the letter in response to a YouTuber, Stories from the Penitentiary. November 8th, 2021. Hello, redacted. What do you know? I just flew in from Kokomo. Little joke aside, I've received both of your letters and I'm humbled to hear you're counting all of your blessings. That is one good way to keep yourself on your own right path of life. I also appreciate your respect. To answer your questions, no, my body has not yet traveled through Atlantic City or Jersey. Gotham City's also in New Jersey, you know. But in my goddess work while astral manifested, I visited Jersey a few times. Virginia is actually a beautiful state in most of its locations between the cities and the country scenery and suburbs, not to mention the Blue Ridge Mountains. The parks, trails, and nature areas are clean and lovely in Charlottesville. I get a very good number of letters, mostly kind and good, with a very small percentage trollish bad with hate and fake. Counting you, more than 35 individuals have written to me, but my envelopes and stamps, even paper for a while, was limited, and I've had to divinely select who to respond to. First, arriving to jail and treatment. Let me preface a bit. In that live recording of my being arrested, I literally foreknew long beforehand of the eventual circumstances, as well as the outcomes at present. The positivity I exuded was genuine in feeling, for out of all the possibilities, I foreknew and counted the jail time was overall best for distancing myself from the pointless drama, from the response of everyone who failed the divine test to not fall for the drama from the leak that we gods had set up as one of the events that needed to happen. This was best for me and my body's self-healing, revelations, and all leading up to my second coming not too long from now. With that said, CVRJ's initial vibrations were positive and was a major good selling point to this place, at least from more than half of the staff. Treatment has been mostly well and good. I did not have noisy neighbors in medical block, but in booking block, well, at the low cost of 80 cents, and the earplugs are the best $1 investment that one can make in commissary. Mildly putting, anyway. Most of the officers and higher ranks, as well as the medical staff I get along with, mainly due to their auras and vibrations being more genuine and positive, and a lot less ignorant and toxic. I do not interact with other inmates very often, especially since they've opted to keep me separate for my safety. Frankly, it's for the better, as I innately meditate 24/7 365 plus 1, and I'd be an alicorn mixed in with a lot of earth ponies metaphorically. The other inmates would likely plot against me on dramatic, even demon-manipulated impulse. Time passing, I meditate. Let my body bide its energy in conservation, and during the local time zone night hours and sometimes into the day, I astral manifest and work. My body has infinite energy in its core, and has slowly outputted and manifested an overpowered backup soul for itself from my partial soul. Perspective, Bart's soul. Episode of The Simpsons. With his soul lost, Bart's body without its infinite energy core manifested a partial soul, but since it had very little time, support, or ability to better itself, it degraded. My body has had the time, ability, and support from me, Magic-chan, Crizel, and everyone. So this fancy hotel with penthouse, with all its vast expansive space internally, has us pair of overpowered individual souls that can work very well together or apart. The optional baptism at WMUM Church and my .01 Ashkenazi Jewish genetics, helpful spiritual supportive bonuses. Other than that, I write in a daily goddess log, and I am not the only one who has written in it, as you will be able to read in the future publishings of these pages, after my second coming and shifting to the majority to the earth of 1C 211987. Some pacing, some good stretches, and yoga too, and thanks for the blessing from my followers. I also like making ramen noodle soup in a 20-ounce Coca-Cola bottle and eating good out of a 20-ounce tumbler plastic cup with a lid. I also play solitaire with a deck of cards on a prayer rug. I also sleep with on a prayer rug on my bed, very comfy. I've personally blessed these 2 rugs. Books I've read: Bishop's Pawn, Love's Secret Storm, Inheritance, Book 4 of the Aragon series, and I have also read my own copies of a Holy Bible and Quran. Not to knock Muslims, but the Quran is Family Guy and the Bible is The Simpsons. Muslims actually do pray to the one God. My mother, formerly father, Emmanuel, and I. They may as well be Bible readers, that is what they're doing. But I digress. R.L. Stine and Don LeChon are my top 2 favorite authors. Playing Tetris 99 and watching videos through internet streaming, these amenities at least. I astral manifest. I'm always free while my body works hard within the cosmos, universe, and Akashic finer details. What worry about COVID? My body has been #fully vaxxed. And lastly, while only individual drawings have been made here, and I've written and drawn well over 100 Sonichu books on 1C211987, Sonichu Prime, Rosie, and Rosechu, and everyone continue to live and work in progressive efforts, and I have been working with them. I write, affirm, and tell you this. Since my arrest on August 1st, 2021, all things Sonichu and Rosechu not written by I and from my body's hands or drawn are not canon or have happened in this timeline with our set of universes within it, including 1C211987, period. Every fanfiction writing or mischronicling of Sonichu Prime, Rosie Rosechu, I, and everyone else are all full 100% certainty distant alternate timelines and universes that do not touch Earth 1218 or Universe 1C211987, Equestria included, at all. I encourage you to tell everyone online about that, their efforts including Helena and Pikachu. Pikachu and everyone's OCs that have been made aware to me do either reside or visit 1C211987, but the goddesses, gods, magician, and superheroes and I, and my body, we do heavy damage control and prevention. This is for everyone's safety and benefit for when we shift the majority at my second coming. I bless you and your family. Also, I've enclosed and repurposed and personally blessed bottle labels. You may make up to 5 photocopies of it, laminate them, proper or with shipping tape, and affix them to any 20-ounce bottle for personally blessed water and non-alcoholic beverages. One for your wife and each of your daughters. Go forth with peace and clarity by my power, glory, and authority as God. Be safe and well, Miss Christine, Weston Chandler Sonichu, the Goddess Blueheart, and Lord Messiah, Savior and God of all. Okay, I'm done. There's a lot of other correspondence between Chris and other enablers and supporters while Chris is in jail, but I'll forego reading them as they generally consist of similar sentiments. Chris is a literal god, a reincarnated persona of Jesus Christ who is suffering in jail for the sins of us, the sinful flock. Before going to jail, Bella had influenced Chris's belief systems by introducing concepts from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which resulted in a belief that persists to this day, that Chris is the one true avatar of all existence, which is kind of the same thing as being the Messiah if you think about it. Perhaps because Chris's theory of mind is never decentralized to the degree of a typical adult. Chris sees things only from Chris's unique and childlike perspective and struggles with taking on the perspective of others, preferring to instead star as the main character in her own drama. It doesn't appear to me to be a coincidence that this Messiah complex becomes so pronounced as Chris faces the intense distress of being stripped from their home, charged with a disturbing crime, and put into jail. Though Chris was largely insulated from the general population while in jail, there was certainly still a great deal of emotional distress. As the consequences for her misdeeds came crashing down upon her, Chris likely would have reverted to the most tried and true coping mechanism at her disposal: escapism. But the normal flavors of escapism, maybe they weren't enough to get through this trying time. So Chris would have needed a new form of escapism, one that would absolve all transgressions, or rather negate the fact that she had transgressed at all. For how could God herself commit a sin? Rather, like Christ, Chris began identifying herself as a martyr, being punished through no fault of her own, carrying the burden of the sins of others. Chris also apparently contracted COVID-19 while in jail, but maintains that this was a test of her spiritual power, which Chris obviously passed because, did she mention, she's frickin' Jesus? Religion-based egocentricity, such as the Messiah complex, is a very common symptom in psychotic disorders like schizophrenia, likely resulting in the combination of narcissism, perceptual disturbances like hallucinations, and cognitive disturbances like grandiose delusions. The Messiah complex serves to insulate the individual from any accountability or wrongdoing. It also entitles them to good things such as forgiveness and special privileges. The Messiah complex is an ultimate form of narcissism. It serves as a buffer between reality and the true self, in which one is powerless and alone, as opposed to being a divinely chosen, unique, and omnipotent deity. It's the ultimate form of cope. It makes sense, then, why this issue would have become so much more prominent during Chris's time in jail. On March 27, 2023, Chris was reported by VineLink as either bonded out or released by court order from custody. On the 3rd of April, the Greene County Circuit Court followed up with a release order. Chris thus spent a total of 1 year and 7 months in jail. In August of 2023, Chris's incest charge was dismissed as a result of his attorney filing for an autism disorder deferred disposition. Following the release from jail, Chris has maintained an ongoing delusion that My Little Pony's newest generation of cartoons is somehow directly involved in the war against Russia and Ukraine. Chris has already made claims prior to the arrest that the so-called MLP-G5 would somehow be directly responsible for World War III, and thus, when Russia invaded Ukraine, resulting in an ongoing armed conflict which many have speculated would domino into World War III, this reaffirmed Chris's beliefs.
Hey everybody, Jesus Christ and Weston Chandler Sonichu Prime once again, right here. And today, we're delving into the why, as we have confirmed, And also preliminary details. I have known this entire time why MLP, G5, and even Pony Life, no good. No good. Just no good. So, with that being said, as I'm finally going to tell y'all right now in a video, and it's already been noted worldwide, and it's been popularly overwhelmed. You know what? Even some, they just essentially, it's been acknowledged and appreciated, but then it's like, they couldn't handle the truth, and neither could you fakers and haters and toxic darkest sinners. I'm shedding light and truth. Very good. Very divine. Alright, well, let's get down to it. Alright, so let's get down for the starters, where essentially I foresaw it even before Pony Life, and long before My Little Pony Friendship's Magic Season 9, Episode 24. Because obviously I just knew that Episode 26 of that season was just no good. Lesser done, non-existent, and future tense, too premature, and why? It'll become shortly as we process through this lovely set. So, let's start with right here with my expansion pack from within an expansion pack. This lovely, yes, the FLP and MyM seasons 10 to 14. It's a mini expansion that was put in with Night Star and Friends expansion pack of Secret Ship Fake folder. And obviously, yeah, we are going to get Friendship is Magic and Equestria Girls resumed. Without the influence of that country in question that started the war recently, and there's all those sanctions and everything. Anyway, so we got all these cards, but yeah, I made this within the year 2019. That's their little reference point. But yeah, obviously I just was able to foretell everything. I knew this beforehand, and I said it explicitly over and over again, and obviously just... we know your game, you agree, corporate excuses and everything. I mean, Night Star's saying that, not me, Night Star. But then obviously, I'm giving my share of my 2 points and my 2 bolts in the heart about it as well. Anyway, yeah. Just appreciate this moment and where we are right now. We're going to get Equestria Girls and Friendship is Magic resumed. But now, let's dive deeper. Alright, so I found these back on February 22nd, upon further exploration and confirmation of all that. So I ended up finding this Reddit page where, past tense, still there anyway. So obviously you got this media right here, the marketing calendar. Now this was posted 3 years ago, obviously. Of course includes Pony Life. And obviously we got the people, oh yeah, what's the original source used by the Russian website? The screenshot doesn't exactly scream official communication. Darn right. And this guy found on an account that has been posting all the official news of the Russian propaganda there. But yeah, not fake. Anyway, he also found the references, which there's a website to the Russian legality, but of course then the PDF, which I have open right here, of all the screen caps, all this media. So we got all this, and then right underneath, yeah, look at the Russian. Look at all the Russia there. And it's been posted on the website that we'll go to in a moment, where Pony Life and G5 Russian license. And of course, you'll note all these continued Russian, even this. And that. And of course that. And even just these, all that. Now let's go back here for a moment and I'll tell you again. So, yeah, oh, here we go. Though I'm still puzzled why there's a Russian MLP flyer before we could see an English one. Yeah, but we also got news from Russia about the movie and the fact that it would be an hour-long special. Yeah, anyway, so there's those details. Now, on this website, they even cited that, oh yeah, right here, September 17th, 2020, there's no allegedly, it's fact. It's just fact. They attended the Russian License Summit. So yeah, and with that, Pony Life and G5, totally Russian licensed. Now let's take another note also from right here. So September 24th, 2021 was when that film was released. This generation does not exist in this timeline at all, period. We'll get to that a little bit later. Now, take a note of this. Now, it decided in the credits of that movie, the executive producer, somebody of the Hasbro chair of executives, Brian Goldner, the late Brian Goldner. And he passed on October 11th, 2021. We go from September 24th, 2021, his name in the credits, and then nearly a month later, he was given the axe. He was axed. So yeah, obviously just, even I connected with his soul and everything. He had regrets about G5, period, as well as Pony Life and the Russian connections. And just obviously everybody there. I forget what this one is. Oh yeah. And then, right, following Brian's death, of course, unfortunately links with my birthday, Russian attacks Ukraine 2022 February. Yeah. So we got all this going on. So I told you before, we got the connections. Pony Life and G5, Russian license. The movie came out. The business chief executive of Hasbro passes on. And then World War III. Period. The timing and everything, it's so important. You got to appreciate that. Now, let's take another note also, because I do have this file pulled up. Telling it to the executives, and guess who's in the picture? Huh? And this card was made back in 2019. 2019. And all this happened. I told it to him, and then what happened? You think about that. It's divine timing regardless of what happened or the possibility of Russia influence, like, slipping a little something in his drink or whatever. That's alternate timeline, but obviously what happened in this time. He wasn't feeling well in the office, so yeah, that likelihood's still there as well. And then but yeah, he has cancer problem. Anyway, sorry on that. Just much appreciation for this individual and realizing he was in the wrong in regards to G5 and Pony Life. And then, yeah, much appreciated. But it's also like give an honorable mention to these other two I had foresightedly put into this very card. Steve Zoltik, Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer. And Lisa Gersh, outside cyber advisor, former Chief Executive Officer. Noted Alexander Wang, that's where she works at. So yeah, these top three influential individuals right there. Now, moving forward, back to what happened shortly after Russia attacked Ukraine. All of those sanctions, well over 500 against Russia, because, obviously Putin, the Kremlin, and all that, and the fact that Russia is literally the modern-day Babylon, the dragons, the kings. I'll tell you what, even also in the connection with China's government and all that, Dragon, Xi Jinping, the banana peel. I'm quite aware of the paper protest. And I do support those that actually participated in that protest. They were against the government, and the Chinese government, not perfect. Just, fortunately, that's a minority out of the majority being more spiritual, with the Zen and Chinese zodiac and all that good, and all that's authentically good stuff. Anyway, now, let's talk about one thing that came about from those sanctions, which this is true. This is to be the fate of MLP G5. Yeah, several supermarkets and states have removed the Russian-made vodka, from their shelves in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. You think about that moment. I mean, you got Russia that just being a really mad, bad bully against Ukraine that want peace and good. And then what does Putin do? He's like, oh, sure, I'll give you some more peace. Let's negotiate. And then let's do peace talks. But then guess what? He attacks him again. It's just he's constantly lying behind his back. He's got those fingers crossed behind his back. Sheesh. I mean, shoot. Oh, let me also just throw in this an honorable mention as well in relation to Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump. I mean, the fact that all of you were like, you mischronicled me as like president of the United States and just being really bad, arrogant, and everything. I mean, shoot. I'm not a freaking Nazi. I do not support Nazism. I am part Ashkenazi Jewish, physically, and spiritually as well. So I'm multi-religious. And look at this. I'm wearing this loud and proud. You take note of this pin right here. You take note of that pin. I'm very proud of that. And I propose and support what is good, light-powered, and righteous. It has nothing to do with the political governments or whatever misconceptions from hatred and demons and devils and doubts y'all had and may have. I do these protests, I do in this right now because it is divinely right and so. MLPG5 non-existent in this timeline because that and Pony Life, Russia influence, and Russia over 99% toxic. It's gonna go down like Babylon. Period. And I'll say one more time, Putin shall die by his own sword, as I had drawn while I was in jail, foreknowingly. Anyway, so getting back to this. Now, obviously, we got the details in regards to resuming Friendship is Magic Equestria Girls. Just, you know, the last 3 episodes, premature. Well, actually, episode 26 of season 9, totally premature. But just 24 and 26 had 2-parter. I'd say I'd give it a decent pass. But it's like, meh. Totally. That's why totally delayed on watching any of those 3 episodes. Period. And just all that. Now, let's talk another detail. So, even the AI, Microsoft Bing, helped me out here. So, let's look at the popular feelings about Pony Life. Now, just obviously reception of Pony Life. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, some... Yeah, I mean, just... It's all like Teen Titans Go. Yeah, anyway. It's just the whole comparison and contrast. But still, definitely avoids character assassination and whatnot. Definitely right on point. But Pony Life... Russia influenced, like G5, definitely. But yeah, after just watching obnoxious like Russia, constant stream of noise, seeing ourselves like a cleverness and humor. It's like Russia does not want to promote any cleverness. Period. It's just no heart, no soul. And just if you know anything about Russia and everything that the government is over polluting with that, there's hardly any churches over there. There's hardly any spiritual goodness, no spiritual spiritual promotion in that. Because the Russian government were like, no. Soviet Union? No. Fortunately, the Soviet Union is long gone right now, but we still gotta get rid of Putin and Donald Trump. They're gonna go down to the fire and brimstone. Just as stated in the Bible between Revelations and Exodus, that last book in the Old Testament. God. Anyway, I know the outcome of that story. I've read it and reread it. Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, it is just overhead. There's just lack of quality in that, and that's what Russia is: lack of authentic, good, light-powered, righteous quality. Just too much evil within that. And I gotta support and give props to those in the minority that remain in Russia right now that are good, light-powered, and righteous. Stay strong. The toxicity, the evil, going down. Now let's talk about the feelings of G5. Now, of course, everybody has mixed feelings. Just look at this: less positive, more negative, and just range of emotions. Yeah, anyway. Not excitement, moreover rage. Just forget about G5, period. It does not exist. And I'm not the only one that feels this way. Even Dr. Wolf is like, make your mark, chapter 5 is, what exactly? And look at that expression of emotion right there. That's on point. And doesn't know what it wants to be because it does not exist. So there. Just, no. And even Mad Munchkin is like, hell no. It sucks. Gen 5 sucks. She knows it. Dr. Wolf knows it. Even Lightning Bush took a look at it. But it's like, final thoughts before G5 movie release. I mean, she saw that from a mile away, too. Just expression on her face like, yeah. So, I'm not the only one. And let's talk about more recently because they couldn't handle the truth. Equestria Daily acknowledged the fact that G5 does not exist in the very timeline. Let's take a closer look at that tweet because that had been deleted. Does not exist. Yes. I'm going to read this out loud because all of you should appreciate this as well. Anything MLP G5 is simply not meant to be. The typical reasons include the executives being money hungry, wanting something fresh and new, and competing with the likes of Disney with video technology and all when they never, ever, ever, ever had to. as well as laying off the original staff of MLP G4 to cut costs and whatnot. But moreover, G5 was literally foretold by me, and everyone agrees after the fact, that it was to be simply awful and out of place. And this is not due to the quality of art, stories, characters, or whatever. It goes deeper, metaphysically deeper, as not only there is a lot more to explore and chronicle with Princess Twilight Sparkle and everyone else, including the background ponies of Equestria and Earth, counting Equestria Girls, because that is canon, period. Including Dr. Wolf and the OCs of the fandom being literally canon as well, and existent in Equestria, period. Friendship is Magic and Equestria Girls was perfect in quality, not counting the premature Season 9 Episode 26 future episode, and the additional 5 seasons that is to be manifested gives it better quality because they are not to be influenced by Russia. I'm going to throw in China, the government of China in that as well. So it gets better quality from that. Character growth and closures. DJ Pawn 3 does have a voice. Jessie Nowacking is the perfect voice actor for her, hands down. Dr. Wolf, Lightning Bliss, and the others interact with everyone in Ponyville, Canterlot and all. Nicer Sonichu, the half-unicorn, half-Sonichu with dimensional and psychic powers is there, and has personally worked with Twilight and her friends as well. This is not headcanon. It is canon in this timeline and in general, period. And the resuming of G4 will only bring about better peace and order restoration with everyone in general and metaphysically and spiritually as well. And on top of that, the executives have lost since G5 began. Lost. Pardon me. And they still have a chance to redeem themselves and Hasbro by simply canceling G5, completely shelving it like a write-off like Coyote vs. Acme present tense. Removing G5 from all streaming services and downloads and removing every single trace of it from YouTube. The fanbase should cease to produce or even talk about G5 right this very instant and now. No more pins, no more fan art, nothing. Nothing of Pip, Sunny, Zip, and all of them. Down in the fire and flames, the cleansing blue flames. And if they stick around, if they continue to linger, they go into fire and brimstone also. The fan, obviously, is by will and by divine will and timing. I know this personally because I've connected with literally through the universe core and matrix of our universe right here, the core and matrix of this very timeline, all the way to the alpha omega point of all existence and its core and matrix. The definite source and beyond. So I know this unconsciously, subconsciously, consciously, and backed up in all my cloud sides within the cosmos. I mean, nobody has ever asked for G5 nor even Pony Life. And now is the time, more than ever, to resume G4, Equestria Girls, and Friendship is Magic before everything gets worse, period. This is not just a feeling or opinion. This is cold, hard fact. From the literal core and matrix of this universe, core and matrix of this timeline, along with divine will. And drama can go somewhere else with the toxic ones that linger. But in short, forget everything MLP G5 and Pony Life right freaking now. And no longer acknowledge it. Because it does not exist in this timeline. And encourage Hasbro to resume Friendship is Magic and Equestria Girls right freaking now. Divine order, worldwide peace, peace of, and within the Brony community. Oh, look at them. They put a G in that as well. Somebody mistyped, or maybe I mistyped that. Anyway. Whatever. Within the Brony community that I am a part of regardless, along with the authentic love that supersedes greed, money, hatred, and toxicities. I mean, just shoot. I was acknowledged, and you know what? You got the file. I mean, you saw the tweet right here. I'm just ashamed. I'm just sorry I missed that tweet and did not get a chance to like it. But look at the page where all that was on. That very page. Look. And then compare it with this. Like, evil for bad. Significance in Larabama. And look at this. Significance in Larabama. This bullet point. I was right there. Even Hasbro was like, in question, give a whole bunch of knocks on the door in response to that. They're like, you know what? Let's bring that image right now. It's just on point. I told it to those executives, and they chicken out. Then they're like, to question daily. But hey, no. I'm telling it to the executives right now, the ones that remain. You can't handle that truth! So yeah, it's divine will, divine told. And if G5 is not shelved right now, when Hasbro has a chance to redeem themselves during the limited time, it's just going to be divinely will and done, period, with G4 being resumed with Adobe Flash and all the original animation programs. No CG and nothing that came about in the likes of Pony Life or that Russian propaganda, which is G5, as well as Pony Life, which that is also Russian propaganda. So yeah, it ought to be dissolved, destroyed, totally wiped. Even every single piece of merchandise, including any of those G5 towels, or blanket as it was, that was put in that one leak that Lightning Blitz also responded to at that one point. Yup. Well, that was divinely timed right there. So yeah, let's zap it up to the extreme. I'll see y'all later. Redeem yourselves. You know what to do, people at Hasbro. You know what to do. Original staff at G4. Hire them all back. Get rid of everybody and everything G5. Maybe bring some of them back on for like guest details and whatnot for the resuming of G4. John Delancey as Discord is going to be like, okay, I'm sorry. So this future episode of that was premiered at the end of season 9. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's not canon right now. So we're going to take you back to the earlier time when Princess Twilight had actually just made it into being Princess of Equestria. Oh, and I will admit, Luna and Celestia, they still do their sun and dream work, despite taking retirement. There's no escaping their divine duties. Period. Yeah, obviously, go with the original Ryan, and as John Delancey will. Really support that guy, by the way. I'm going to make this reference one more time because of a Silver Quill. So, what about Discord? What about him? No, the episode. What did you think of the episode? What about Discord? What about him? That's just so funny on loop, but still appropriate. Alright. Y'all take care. Have a blessed, safe day. Let's do this. It's divinely timed and will and rightly so. Light-powered, good righteousness.
Following the arrest in 2021, many thought that Chris would be in jail for the foreseeable future, so it came as a shock to many when Chris was released. And since then, Chris has pretty relentlessly been bullied, even more so than before. Chris has turned off comments on her YouTube videos, and even the Etsy store reviews are pretty much plagued constantly with troll comments. Chris still has her few defenders, such as Helena, and though Chris remains one of the most controversial figures in the history of the internet, since her release she has been widely rejected in her attempts to reintegrate into society. Now living in a small, isolated town in Virginia, seemingly keeping a relatively low profile, Chris has made some efforts to reconnect with the MLP fandom. However, the MLP fandom rejected Chris way back, even before the arrest, so they certainly weren't going to start accepting Chris now. Perhaps this rejection is linked to Chris's delusions surrounding MLPG5 being a Russian Trojan horse. This rejection from the MLP fandom seems to trigger intense distress in Chris, who continues to complain about the unfair rejection. As discussed previously, rejection-sensitive dysphoria, or RSD, is a symptom that is common in autism, and as the name suggests, it involves an extreme sensitivity to feelings of rejection, which can result in intense emotional distress. It appears that the MLP community continuing to reject Chris is once again triggering the rejection-sensitive dysphoria that Chris experiences. Revisiting Chris Chan and schizophrenia. I've speculated previously about Chris Chan and a possible schizophrenia presentation, and we compared Chris's presentation to the diagnostic criteria to see if they matched. And at the time, my conclusion was that there wasn't enough evidence to comfortably assert that someone like Chris Chan would fit a diagnosis of schizophrenia. However, back then I was looking more at classic Chris. Now I want to take a look at post-jail saga Chris. The diagnostic criteria for schizophrenia are: A. 2 or more of the following, each present for a significant portion of time during a 1-month period. Delusions. Check. Hallucinations. If you count the tulpas and the Pokemon that Chris says that she can see, this would also count. Although this could arguably be more a form of dissociation than true hallucination. Disorganized speech. Check. You can see in the jail letters that Chris's speech is way more disorganized and kind of word salady than it used to be, which is a key feature of schizophrenia. Grossly disorganized or catatonic behavior. This one's not clear, but I'm going to say no. I haven't seen enough evidence of Chris experiencing catatonic symptoms. Negative symptoms, i.e. diminished emotional expression or avolition. Again, I'm not sure if Chris fits this one either, especially since this could overlap with symptoms of autism. Continuous signs of the disturbance for 6 months. This one, yes, Chris fits because the delusions have been present for more than 6 months. For a significant portion of time since the onset of the disturbance, level of functioning has decreased. And Chris's level of functioning, I would say, has decreased a little bit, but it's hard to, again, measure with the autism diagnosis. This complicates things quite a bit. Schizoaffective disorder and depressive disorder or bipolar disorder with psychotic features have been ruled out. This basically means you have to rule out a mood disorder like depression or bipolar disorder, or schizoaffective disorder, which is just schizophrenia plus a mood disorder. Once those have been ruled out, you could diagnose someone with schizophrenia. Arguably, Chris could have schizoaffective disorder, as we've seen Chris experience bouts of depression or potentially bipolar episodes. The disturbance is not attributable to the physiological effects of a substance or a medication or another medical condition. Check. Chris isn't on drugs and there's no other medical conditions. Well, maybe autism. We'll get into that in a bit. If there is a history of autism spectrum disorder or a communication disorder, the additional diagnosis of schizophrenia is made only if prominent delusions or hallucinations in addition to the other required symptoms are present. Meaning, the delusions and the negative symptoms like the social and emotional stuff isn't enough for an autistic person to also be diagnosed with schizophrenia, because those could be explained by autism, right? So specifically with autism, there needs to be persistent patterns of hallucinations and delusions. Chris's delusions are very prominent, and depending on how much veracity you place into Chris's claims of literally being able to see and interact with Sonichu and other Quickville companions, the hallucinations are also prominent and have lasted over 6 months. So even taking this caveat of autism spectrum disorder into consideration, all things considered, I do believe that there's a very strong argument that someone presenting like Chris Chan is presenting would be a very appropriate case for a diagnosis of schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder. Please remember though, I'm not diagnosing anybody in these videos. You can never diagnose anybody without meeting them. And that brings us to present day Quick. This has been an insane journey. I just want to take a minute to share my reflections on the experience of covering Chris Chan. If you don't want to hear it, you can click off the video, but fuck you. The story of Chris Chan is one that evokes something inside of all of us. It stimulates our brains. For some, Chris symbolizes everything wrong with the modern world. For others, Chris is a victim who needs to be protected from the cruel world that she inhabits. Others see Chris as a plaything, just an object for fun and amusement. There are so many different perspectives, different voices, each with different ideas about who Chris is and what Chris symbolizes. And I don't have all the answers. I'm sorry if I ever gave off the impression that I do. The process of documenting Chris Chan is a humbling task. As one of my longtime subscribers has commented, if you stare into the locale long enough, it stares back into you. Covering someone like Chris Chan may eventually see you fall into the same personality defects that made Chris. The very things that drew detractors and trolls towards Chris in the first place. His arrogance, resistance to criticism. Those who orbit Chris seem to become reflections of Chris, mirroring her worst qualities. There's a lot of reasons why we as humans are fascinated with these bizarre tales, these grotesque and unorthodox stories. One of these reasons, I believe, is because we project a part of ourselves into these stories. We see ourselves in them in some way. We just don't want to admit it. Locales serve as a mirror, as a glimpse into the darkest depths of the human experience, and clearly something about these stories resonates with our own humanity, evoking strong reactions, be it disgust, hatred, sympathy, or whatever other visceral human emotions are evoked as we gaze into the cow. And with that, we end today's analysis. I will continue covering Chris Chan while still covering other locales, so don't worry about that. Just like and subscribe, become a member, support me on Patreon, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.